I saw Invincible was having some drama. Some drama was going about Invincible, one of my favorite shows. I need to get caught up on. I love Invincible. I've always been a big fan. Now I've seen some silly willy dramas out here. I don't know if this is actually that big of a deal or if it's just the internet throwing a little tantrum. But I like chaos. I'm here for all the he's and haws and goofs and offs. I just love it all. I'm a big fan of doofus internet shit. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you come to my channel, you're here to sit here and make fun of stuff with me. Let's get into it. Wait, we didn't even talk about the guy's channel. Who is this? Who are we talking about? This is the Round Table. This is where you get pizza at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who wants to watch Invincible? Who wants to watch Invincible for the animation? Invincible Season 3 is here.
I mean, it is kind of true that but here, I will defend the animation for 1 second on Invincible. It's very nostalgic of the older, like, it's like a shittier version of, like, Xmen the animated series. It kind of makes me nostalgic for that vibe, and I'm just so glad that it doesn't look fucking unworldly like Chowder or some crap. I didn't like Chowder, and people are gonna get mad about that, but I didn't like Chowder. I thought that show was weird.
And it's already shaping up to be the best season of the show yet. It really seems like the show is going to be firing off on all cylinders. Except for the animation. If you've engaged with Invincible's fandom in any capacity, then you'll know that everyone's biggest issue with the show is by far the animation quality. It doesn't look bad most of the time, but it very
I don't know what you're talking about, but his ass was stacked up. I like me a good booty, and his booty's got like that muscular thing. And then when I saw that muscle mommy, I'm like, please stroke me off faster, daddy.
very rarely looks great. Point a gun to my head and tell me to name 3 moments of absolute Sakuga. And I'd say the fight in the Adam Eve special, the explosion when they try to murk Nolan, and then, just empty the mag, man.
Oh, dude, actually, the scene where he kills all the other superheroes, that was dope. That was like one of the most memorable things for me. I was watching it, now it might just be because of the shock value, but it was cool shock value.
I don't think anyone's ever been over the moon for Invincible's animation, but keep in mind that we had a 2.5-year gap between seasons 1 and 2. Fans of animated action got to experience some fine dining with Arcane, Xmen 97, and just about every popular shonen anime with overworked animators. Now, Invincible's animation is kinda looking like McDonald's. It's gotten to the point where if the internet catches even—
Well, here's what I will give about Invincible's animation. I'm gonna do some defense voice. I'm gonna fucking come in and I'm gonna suck the wiener of Invincible so hard that he is gonna stop being a superhero. I like it because it reminds me of Teen Titans. It reminds me of like that are like Ben 10. It reminds me of that type of animation, and the fact that it's so gritty and so wild, it just kind of is like a juxtaposed position. It's on like an opposite end of the spectrum of what I've like grown accustomed to with like that old school Cartoon Network vibe or Nickelodeon or wherever the fuck those were put on. But it reminds me of that older style, and when you see them just ripping off testicles of everybody, I'm like, yeah, dude, this is jarring as shit, and I think it works in that regard. Is it fantastic? No, but I think it actually works a little bit better because of that in some aspects. But I'm just a retard who shouts on the internet, so what the fuck do I know?
whiff of good animation, the default response is, I looked at Invincible inside. They say comparison's a thief of joy, but unfortunately, the internet thrives off hating, and it's not like these critiques are unfounded. There were some wonky shots in season 1, I think we all remember the Mars episode, but then, season 2 came along and somehow looked worse? Like, yeah, the whack CGI was gone, but now the show feels as stiff as a board. I think the turning point for a lot of people was the 2v3 between Mark, Nolan, and the Filtramites, where this iconic page was tragically animated like a slideshow. It's something you don't think about as much when you didn't.
I take back everything I fucking said after seeing the comic books the comic books drawing. That's rough, dude. I don't know how, like, here's the thing. You're taking somebody else's art that's fucking based and awesome and gory and amazing, and then you're dumbing it down to the basic the base common denominator. This is some fucking douchebag energy. I want more gore. I want to see, like, a dick ripped off and thrown at Mach 5 through somebody's head, because that's exactly what happened to this man.
read the source material, but imagine looking forward to fights like this for years, wondering how they're going to adapt this page into animation, only for the answer to be copy, paste, and drag. On top of that, you might have heard the phrase, "Bring back the animators," referring to the studio that animated these little update teasers for seasons 2 and 3. Animation that is noticeably a lot more lively than the actual show. So what gives? Well, I actually have an answer, and it's one that runs a little deeper than all the budget goes towards the celebrity voice acting. It's an answer that is hidden in plain sight. An answer that may shock you, or at least piss you off. The answer is ultimately staff and time. If you check the credits for literally any episode in season 1, and any episode in season 2, and presumably season 3, you'll find that the show's team is incredibly short-staffed now compared to that first season. A fact that's made even worse by the fact that Prime Video is now trying to release seasons on a yearly basis. Cool for the audience, debatably, but it's not that great for the artist. Aside from the fact that they're getting consistent work, let's really take all this in though. Let's crunch the numbers. While a ton of artists and production peeps come together to make a cartoon what it is, we want to focus on the storyboard team. The storyboard artist, who illustrate each and every scene in an episode, and revisionists who clean up those drawings, often making them more on model and giving it a bit more sauce. So basically, these are the artists drawing and posing out all the action for the vendor studio, the overseas animators who bring it all to life, to actually animate. Season 1 seemed to average 6 to 7 storyboard artists and 3 to 5 storyboard revisionists per episode, with this series premiere notably having 15 storyboarders and 6 revisionists, and the season finale having 9 storyboarders and...
They basically were like, you guys did a really, really good job in that first episode. I think that this is a great show. It's gonna do great things. They were about fucking halfway through the development. We're like, listen, you're fucking fired. Why? Am I not doing a good job? We didn't sell enough Amazon boxes this week, dude. They're on strike because they're being mad gay. What do you mean by mad gay? Oh, they want to take like a break at work? Fucking what douchebags. My name is Jeff Bezos and I'm bald. And I don't stay bald because I can't grow hair. I stay bald because I pluck each individual one of these hairs out because of my just sheer willpower. And I need that same willpower to be put into taping every motherfucking box here at Amazon. And if you want to take a break, well, I might as well shoot you and drag you out behind the barn and have sex with your dead body.
Unrevisionist? What the fuck? The Adam Eve special isn't that much longer than a normal episode, but the number of revisionists sure seems special, as this episode had 7 boarders and 9 revisionists. I'm assuming that's why the fight at the end looks so good. Then there's season 2. Instead of upgrading the team and bringing in more artists, Amazon started to tragically cut back a bit. They bumped up the amount of revisionists ever so slightly, but they cut back on the amount of story artists by 2. Which is wild to me because, using the 2010s era of kids cartoons as a measure, 2 storyboard artists tend to cover 11 minutes of animation. Even if you have a couple more revisionists to spruce things up, why cut back on the number of artists who are creating the template for the episode in the first place? The amount of borders on some episodes is baffling. For some reason, the episode with the most amount of borders in season 2 is episode 5. You know, the one where the entire team eats shit, that has 7 borders and 6 revisionists. Now, I get there's a lot of characters to keep track of when the team's out in full force, but why did this have a bigger team than the previous episode, which had the 2v3 Viltrumite fight? You'd think the battle with the overarching antagonist would take higher priority this season.
To be honest, this is so forgettable. He's 100% right. This fight was like super forgettable. I like season 2. I really like Invincible. I went into this video thinking I was gonna vehemently have the bad take again and defend Invincible with everything I had. I thought I was gonna stand in front of him, arms raised, taking all the dildo shots one man can handle. But instead, I'm over here thinking that all those weird Twitter people that are posting pictures of enemies and stuff and how the new guy looks like he has way less details. They're fucking right. This is like mid in comparison. I mean, I watch myself a lot of anime, so I know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? Sort of, maybe.
What? Nope. They didn't even give the premiere or finale a boost in artists like with the first season. These 2 episodes are actually some of the least stacked on the season, which makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't you want to make a strong first impression or give the audience some really good animation before piecing out for the year? I really enjoy the season 2 finale, but Mark vs. Engstrom deserved way more sauce than it actually got. Season 2 episode 6 has the least amount of artists on the story team, with 4 boarders and 2 revisionists. This really is insane to me, because going back to that 2010s kids cartoons comparison, shows like Adventure Time and Regular Show have 2 storyboard artists and 2 revisionists per episode. And those are 11 minutes long, and aren't nearly as action intensive as Invincible. Their double-length episodes tend to have 4 storyboard artists, and that's still 22 minutes. Invincible is a show with nearly hour-long episodes and a lot of action. So tell me, should their storyboard team for each episode be on par with, if not slightly bigger than an 11 to 22 minute comedy? No! The animation is so stiff because they don't have time to pose it out and make it look dynamic because they're getting stretched thin. They literally do not have the time to give it the sauce that other shows have when Prime wants this out on an annual basis. So what you can try to do to offset that limited time is hire more people so that everyone has more time to work on their sections for an episode. Again, I'm pretty sure that's a big reason why that Adam Eve fight.
How the fuck does Solo Leveling do it? I think, well, I mean, I know how they do it. They basically just take a bunch of people and shove them in a room over in Asia, and they're like, get it done or we'll fucking, you'll never leave. You will eat, sleep, and dream in this office. If you want to cry, crawl under your desk, and we will dock your fucking pay. Just suck it up, you little pussies, and keep working. That's how they get it done. I forget sometimes that their work laws are fucking insane wacko mode over in Asia.
Looked great. To put things further into perspective, Xmen 97, which usually has 30-minute episodes, 20 minutes less than Invincible, tends to have 6 to 8 storyboard artists per episode, with usually 3 revisionists, though that can also vary. But
to be honest, that doesn't even look as good as the original animation. The original animation even looks better than that.
10 storyboard artists on the finale. Invincible Fight Girl, another recent action cartoon, tends to have 4 storyboard artists with 2 revisionists per episode, and that's a 22-minute show.
So you think you know Wix?
Bro, this is like actually just typical Amazon behavior. Amazon is always like, how do we get the job done with the most limited amount of people and make them absolutely miserable? We're Amazon, we'll figure it the fuck out. Have you seen our facilities? Everyone's miserable, and we had to remove sharp items because they kept trying to cut themselves dry.
You guys notice how all these shows have consistently incredible action? Because they have the appropriate number of artists on board for how long their shows are? Do you see how Invincible is insanely understaffed in comparison? It blows my mind, because this is a show on Amazon, a company that has no excuses when it comes to money. They can afford celebrity casting and having more artists on payroll. Now,
but they're Amazon. They want you. They pull people out of their houses every morning. People don't apply to work in fucking Amazon. What do you think? Application process is for pussies. It's for fucking little bitch boys. That's retarded to hire people off applications. What you do is you sneak into their fucking house. You put a bag over their head. You drag them to the facility. You make them clock in, and then after about a month of working, they're Stockholm syndrome, baby. They got the Stockholm in their buddy, and then they tell you about more of their friends, and more buddies show up, and now they're butt buddies, and now the only time they get any type of love is when they get their 10-minute break. They go and have a giant orgy in the locker room, and none of them can last for more than 10 minutes because that's the only interactions with people that they've had. You're welcome for that narration monologue.
Changing the vendor studio yielding better animation? It varies. That's something I made a whole video about if you want to learn more about that. But that does bring me to the point, animators. These 2 promo shorts for season 2 and season 3 that have a noticeable jump in animation quality were animated by the talented folks over at Bobby Pills, an 18+ animation studio who you may recognize from Captain Laserhawk on Netflix. Or, you know, gooning. My Butt Hats Off Media made a whole video about that studio. Check it out. People really love how they handle these Invincible shorts, and it's becoming a pretty common sentiment that they should be animating the entire show. Now, could Invincible switch from their current vendor studios like NE4U to Bobby Pills full-time? Maybe, but I don't think it guaranteed that the show would have a vast, consistent improvement in
Well, and here's the thing, too. This is something I think is very important, and I'm gonna get serious Jeffrey time. Putting on a serious headphones, straightening his collar. If you find a studio that's doing a better job than the studio currently, fucking scrap that studio, offer them the job, and if they think they can handle it and they can keep up the quality, Fire everybody else. Now, I know that's really mean because you're throwing people out on their ass, but if they can't keep up consistent quality, let fucking free market dictate who can, and then step that bitch up, put it on another motherfucking level, and then you fucking did it. You're winning. You're a god. You're a crimson god. Bring those porn animators in, let them do their job right, and we will have a better show, and we will all lead happier. Not the people that got fired, obviously, because they probably will be kidnapped and thrown into the actual, like, packing facilities of Amazon, maybe getting chumped up into little pieces and turned into plastic toys for children. But who knows? I mean, not everybody can be a winner. So when you're playing in terms of quality, you got a winner and a loser, and obviously the current animators are a bunch of fucking losers.
Animation quality if the core team at Skybound is still this limited. The first step to improving the animation at all is hiring more board artists and revisionists, which, yeah, does mean a bigger budget. But honestly, even though Prime Video can afford it, I don't think they'd go for it. Not because they prioritize celebrity casting. Again, it's Amazon. They can afford both a stat cast and a stacked staff. But the people who actually have control over this treat it as strictly business. Thus, they just...
Okay, so this is something too. We've seen this in the video game industry, serious time again. We've seen it in the video game industry where they've thrown more people at a problem and nothing changes. This is something that we see constantly in the AAA industry where it's like, oh, well, the reason the game didn't have it, we didn't have enough time and money. And it's like, you had fucking like 800 people working on, or 800,000 people working on this fucking game, and you released Skull and Bones to us. Don't tell me about your fucking quadruple A jizz fest because it was trash and nobody fucking bought it. This is a problem I see constantly where you'll see like exponentially more talented people working on something, and they are over here doing a good job, but this current group, they're already paying, they're already in-house, and they're like, we're just gonna keep with them because even though they're worse, we're gonna give them more money and they will get better, I promise. If we keep throwing money at it and keep throwing people at it, it will get better. And that's not always the case. I'm sorry. That like sometimes it does work, but I've seen it happen time and time again where they just throw money at a problem and it doesn't go away. Sometimes it's just better to look outside where you're currently looking and just hand the project off to somebody who's more talented.
Don't see this the same way that we do. We see, wow, the show is so popular. The animation should be way better for how much attention it gets. But for those in charge, they see that they can put less money into the animation and still have it wind up as the #1 show on the platform while a season's airing. Why would they ever want to invest more when investing less is evidently just as, if not more rewarding? Bullying the animation on Twitter and TikTok gives everyone a good laugh, but it doesn't really move the needle at Amazon when the show is still getting incredible viewership either way. That said, I think there's a very easy middle ground. Invincible should utilize a tactic that plenty of other animated shows have done in the past for important scenes. Keep the animation the same for whenever they're talking or doing like the bare minimum superhero stuff, but when there's a really big fight scene, just bring in some guest animators. Freelance it to another studio. You're on Amazon Prime. They can...
That's fair. And that's what I was saying, like, about like just have somebody else come in. That is a good way to work around it. It's like keep your current animators, do everything the same, but when there's a fight scene, contract somebody else. Have somebody else be working on this fight scene when the show starts, so that they can just like clip it in later. Fix it in post. It's a typical thing you hear in the industry. We gotta fix it in post. We'll fucking get around and get everything lubed and screwed later.
Foot the bill! Whether that be Bobby Pills, those incredible maniacs over at Flying Bark, or even a smaller studio like Smallboo, people just want cool fights in their superhero cartoon, which I don't think is that crazy of an ask. A show on the level of Invincible deserves way better fight scenes. So do the fans who only get a handful of episodes for like a month every year. When I look back on my favorite moments so far, I never really think about the animation. I just think it's a damn good story. Unfortunately, if Prime sees that people are just content with the story and alright animation and choreography, nothing's gonna change. But who knows? Maybe.
Well, and at this point, another issue might run into, another fucking bump of semen in the road, is people stop watching because the animation quality is down. The studio thinks that the show's not popular anymore, and then they just cancel it and we don't get any more. And when you like the story so much, it's better to just keep grinding with the story, even if the animation's not great, because at least you'll see the story finished. That is kind of an issue. It's kind of like this fucking double-edged sword. Oh, I'll stop watching it because blah 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 until they fix it. I'm standing my ground, and then it just disappears forever, and then we never get to see a conclusion. Nothing ever gets better. We're just sitting in the shower crying every night while people pour hot sauce down on top of you. Why does that happen to me? I think it's because I live in a house full of demons.
They'll have some cool action set pieces in store for season 3, bringing in guest animators for major moments like I suggested. But based on what we've seen so far, I feel like I'm just gonna look at it and sigh.
Honestly, that's a fire video. That was incredible. This guy's good. I'm gonna subscribe. The Roundtable is an incredible channel. I mean, they got like 1 million fucking subs, so it's not like my one subscriber is like really fucking pushing them over. But that's the thing. Everybody needs subscribers. That's how the platform works. And if you're watching this, subscribe, baby. I got nice chest hair, dude. Look how nice it is. We can braid it, and I can sell it to you to floss your teeth with. That's the type of genius that I am.